Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging.
We take no prisoners.
We are war.
Take no prisoners.
Rise up and break the backbone of your Take no prisoners.
The real content of any kind of revolutionary thrust lies in the principles and the goals that you're striving for, not in the way you reach them.
Take no prisoners.
Every group in this country did. We got to take over the communities.
How can you provide a solution when you can't even identify the problem?
Welcome to Take No Prisoners Radio on Pine Hills, Orlando's The Wire 98.5 FM, streaming on TheWire985.com or on the 98.5 The Wire app. Camille H. is out of the country and will be back soon. I am your host, Seb. So one of the most common questions in hip-hop is, who are your top 5 MCs, right? Probably heard it a million times before. You've been asked this question a million times before. And it's been that way for years, at least as far back as I can remember. And I generally ask my guests the question as well, right? And, of course, magazines, websites, blogs, TV shows, like I think MTV has the best MC list of all times. I don't remember the name of the show, but something like that. Media brings up the topic periodically, and it always makes for a big, heated debate and a whole lot of arguments. And the truth is, anyone's top 5 is really a matter of opinion in my book. And it's really hard, even pointless, to argue with someone's opinion. But at the end of the day, what is it that really makes someone a great MC anyway? Is it based on lyrics? Is it the flow? Is it the charisma, the personality of the artist? Is it the content? Is it based on sales and fame? So to discuss this, today we're joined by someone who's lived through all of the periods of hip-hop culture since the beginning. He's a member of the Zulu Nation in the Temple of Hip Hop. He's the founder of Hip Hop Ministries Incorporated, as well as the CEO of the Conscious Consulting Group. So without any further delay, let's welcome Minister Server to Take No Prisoners Radio. Peace, man.
Peace. What's happening?
I'm good, man. Good to have you on the show, sir.
Hey, man, good to be here, sir, for sure. I mean, y'all doing your thing. I'm honored to be here, bro.
I appreciate it, man. We try to do good things. We try to promote the culture, so, we had to have you on the show, man. So sure. I ask my guests every week, who are you? Because I know who you are, right? But the listeners don't necessarily know your resume, your history. So, break it down a little bit, man. Who are you and what's your resume? What are your credentials in hip hop?
Wow, that's
a long story, huh?
That's a little question. But who I am Minister Server. I've been involved in hip hop, since I was a teenager back in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I've been actively working in hip hop culture for 25 years here in Atlanta with Nation Time Syndicate, which is the Atlanta's first hip hop collective. I started working with the Temple of Hip Hop in 2001. 2003 became the spiritual advisor and lead minister with KRS-One and the Temple of Hip Hop. Been involved with Zulu Nation since around that same time. Like I said, it started Hip Hop Ministries, which is, the spiritual side of hip hop. We try to let people understand that hip hop as a culture has always been multi-faith and always will be. We don't need to have any religion that is hip hop, but we need to understand and respect everybody's path and know that we're, kind of moving in a way. So when I started Hip Hop Ministries, which is an acronym for Higher Infinite Power Healing Our People Ministries, to bring people together, from that spiritual side. And so that's, the work that I've been blessed to be doing. Like I said, from working with KRS-One, was able to be his hype man, his DJ, did several tours with him. I appeared on the Keep Right CD in 2004. But at the end of the day, I'm a hip-hop grandpa, you know what I'm saying? I have 6 children and 5 grandsons, so the work that I do is really for my children and my children's children to build a foundation that they can experience, life in a full way, which is the same thing I think everybody wants to do. I've been blessed to do it through hip-hop culture, which is, manifest in my personal life in a way that, I really love sharing, just my point of view and my belief on what the culture is and what it can be, because it's the most awesome thing that the world's ever seen, from my opinion. So that's who I am, and that's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
Word. Just out of curiosity, before we move a little further into our discussion about what makes a GOAT MC, greatest of all time MC.
Yeah.
So I know when I introduced you, I said you were a member of the Zulu Nation in the Temple of Hip Hop. So a lot of people might have this question in mind, like, what is it like being a member of the Zulu Nation today in 2017, right? After all of the controversy.
Yeah. To me, I'm involved with a number of organizations, fraternity, from college and the whole nine. And every organization that I'm involved with it because of the ideals and the principles that they stand for. So I never get swayed by the personalities, because all of us, are going through what we're going through and our human frailties and character flaws. But for me, it's always been principles and what things stand for over personalities. But for me to be as close to the Zulu Nation with Bambaataa and the whole nine, this situation, which is still, unresolved, it's something that we're dealing with in a number of different ways, inside and out. And me being the minister of hip hop culture internationally, then I particularly, take the end of how we're dealing with it. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you want to look at it, because we're adults, I don't have any authority to make anyone do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm here for advice and guidance. But what I do caution people is that if you were involved with the Zulu Nation because of Africa Bambaataa, then I don't know what to even tell you, because Bambaataa hasn't even been actively involved in running the Zulu Nation for over 20 years. Not that he's not still the figurehead, obviously. And if the allegations are proven to be true, then he has to deal with that in not only the court of law, but the court of hip hop culture as well. So there are, a number of conversations to bring some closure to that, because for me personally, coming from the spiritual end of it, there has to be some way that we can get to resolution of what happened, why it happened, and how do we move forward from that. And things that are not moving in the pace that I would like to see them move, to be honest with you. And yet, it does not take away from the work that's been done worldwide from the Universal Zulu Nation. It does not take away from the principles that the Zulu Nation stands for. So again, while personalities may make a person want to, shun those personalities, I wouldn't advise people to be involved with any organization because of the personalities. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I take that approach in my personal life as well as my public life.
I just had to ask, man, because I know it's something that that's on people's minds when they hear Zulu Nation.
And I don't mind people asking me that, and I don't mind talking about it. And I have conversations that are obviously some private conversations that I wouldn't go into, but the real sentiment is that all of us that are part of this culture, we are a growing culture. So we are going to have human frailties. We're going to have character flaws. We're going to have straight up missteps and mistakes. And yet we don't have to discard every person that makes a mistake. We don't have to discard ourselves, and we just don't have to do that, because we are a growing culture. And yet there has to be a level of accountability. It has to be,
Word.
or we can't grow and move forward. So no one can be above, which again goes back to the principles. No one can be above the principles that we say that we're about, or we find ourselves in situations that we're in now. And this is the first time we had to deal with something on this level. So,
For sure.
We are dealing with it in, a way like, any other young culture and community deals with that, which is internally and then publicly.
Word. Well, let's move on to today's topic.
Yes,
right?
sir.
In order for us to discuss what makes a GOAT MC, a greatest of all time MCs, I got to ask you, for the purpose of the show, not as my typical cliche question that I ask every week, but, for the purpose of this show, who are your top 5 MCs of all times, right? And then who are your current top 5, right? So
Okay.
I guess
Yeah,
I'm
good
kind of
question.
asking you for like 2 different lists.
Right. Top 5 of all time. Okay. Now this is a list that may surprise some people, but
Okay.
here it is. Okay. Number 5, MC Light.
Oh, so you're giving it to us in order of actual order,
gonna
or
go,
just
I'm gonna go 5 to 1. I go in reverse order.
okay?
Number 5, MC Light, because not only is she just the standard by which women MCs are judged, she is still dope, and she's still, I just saw she was just at the International Trinity International Hip Hop Festival this past April, and I promise you, Seb, I was in straight fan mode. I was watching the show. I actually came from backstage and went in the audience to watch the show because some people like to be backstage just because they feel like they're important. But if you really want to see the show, backstage is not a good place to watch the show. It's just not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I've seen shows
audience.
from backstage. Yeah, right. I know how it is.
If you really want to see the show, you want to go to the audience. I was out in the audience in straight fan mode. So MC Light, for sure. Number 5. Number 4 would be LL Cool J.
Okay.
LL Cool J. Number 3, Wise Intelligent.
Ooh.
Wise Intelligent. Because Wise Intelligent, I tell people, Wise have been able to do what I don't think anyone else has been able to do what Wise has been able to do, which is drop only conscious music, completely nothing except conscious music.
100%.
Funky, and still keep it style, and still keep it relevant, and still dope, Yeah. Number 2, Ice Cube. Ice Cube. Okay. Ice Cube. Because, again, and as we get into why and what makes somebody, that's where you'll see the list make a bit more sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And number 1 for me is probably a given. KRS-One.
Okay.
And to me, again, once we go to the criteria, it should be kind of obvious why KRS-One is the greatest of all time.
For sure.
In my
opinion.
Sure.
And both KRS and Cube are actually, I would say, pretty common on many people's top 5s, especially when you're, a little older as a hip hopper. It's, definitely, well-established names in so many people's top 5s. So what about your current list? Do you even have a current MC list?
I do. And of course, these are just favorites. I wouldn't necessarily say greatest because a lot of them, still have, stuff to prove.
Yeah.
Who I'm vibing to hard right now, Cyrock for sure. I just love Cyrock. Not only personally, I love the commitment that she's made to be a dope MC because she came into the game later. Like she hasn't been an MC like all her life. You know what I'm saying? But she came in and put in the work. And everything she spits is just fire, her stage presence. And because I know her personally, she hasn't, got the big head or nothing. She's still, doing what she's doing. I really love that and appreciate that. So Cyrock.
Yes. Cyrock is a friend of the Take No Prisoners family. She's been on the show before. So big up to Cyrock, definitely.
Now somebody else who I'm just like, in fact, I called him the other day and was talking about his brother named Methuselah. I don't know whether you know Methuselah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We played his joints on the show. Matter of fact,
heard his recent album? It's called Crystal Ball.
Yep, sure have. I played about 3 joints. Yep, played about 3 joints on the show.
Yeah, Methuselah, and that's my little brother from forever. But one thing I always tell people, I love to see people grow in their craft because sometimes, to be an artist looking to make that part of your career is a hard thing. It's completely beyond the scope of what people understand just emotionally, you know what I'm saying? Just what it can do to your spirit and, you know what I'm saying? So for people to stay in the game and keep their craft at a certain level and maintain who they are, that's something that's commendable. Because he's also a vegan chef, Methuselah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, doing this thing as well. Okay, so Methuselah, Cyrock, Joey Badass. Man,
Joey Badass. And you got to give me your top 3 within the next minute because we're going to get ready to go to break too.
Okay. Joey Badass, definitely Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
How many is that?
That's 4. You just need one more.
Okay, one more. Let me see who I'm listening to right now. Nas, man. I'm still feeding on some Nas.
Okay.
I find myself listening to Nas a lot. So I just had to think like, who am I really listening to? Yeah, Nas. So
right.
That's my top 5 right now.
I like that. You got Nas on your current MC top 5, which I dig it because on my current MC list, I have Pharoah Monch, who is not a current MC. He's been around for a long time, but I gotta have him on my current top 5 as well. So, all right. So We're going to come back after this music break. We're going to talk about the science of a GOAT MC.
Yeah.
So Take No Prisoners Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this break.
Feeling so out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control. Maybe we're out of control. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, yo. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, yo. The world's spinning. We're fighting over quote-unquote facts we'll never truly know whether it's true or false. It happened so long ago. Couldn't we define our own guidelines and decide that anything leading to crime is out of line if truly destructive and counterproductive? Even if you quote-unquote win, your karma sucks, kid. How you gonna progress through life off the back of another man's strife, off the death of another man's wife, off the death of a mother's kids? World of confusion, we flipped our wigs
inside out, getting right before my kin dies out, breathing the sun before my skin dries out. I ain't jumping out that window, the wind flies out. Won't be the coward and no pretend hideout. I'm in the trenches, talking brothers up on benches, hoping my gems penetrate stenches. Man, I'm right there with them, keeping it funky. If I'm African American, tell me which country. Our differences shouldn't make you wanna hunt me, when in reality every fruit came from one tree. Feeling so out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, yo. The world's spinning out of control. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control. It's so out of control. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, yo. The world's spinning out of control. The world's spinning, spinning, spinning.
Yeah, it's true. The world's spinning out of control. Sometimes I'm tempted to just let go. Somehow I find the strength to hold on. I seen the light of day, so I know dawn. Holding everyone I love with both arms, so strong. I'm hoping this embrace will help us all know calm. I wish we didn't all know harm,
but we do, so we fight through. It's what we must do, not what we might do. Whether you a philanthropist who putting up a lot of this dough, or if you poor with your socks poking out of your toes, it's our own lives we gotta patrol. And I'm an optimist, bro. I looked around to see what's popping, and yo,
philosopher's stone with modesty tones that we offer to own to get us up out of the prodigal zone.
No matter how many dollars you own or where you calling your home, it's obvious that the globe is spinning out of control. Feeling so out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, yo. The world's spinning out of control. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control. It's so out of control. The world's spinning out of control, man. The world's spinning out of control, yo. The world's spinning out of control. The world's spinning, spinning, spinning.
This is Take No Prisoners Radio on the Wire 98.5 FM, streaming on the Wire 985.com or on the 98.5 The Wire app. If you're just joining us now, we're speaking with Minister Server about what makes a GOAT MC, a greatest of all time MC. And right before we went to break, we were talking about your top 5 of all times and then your current top 5. So let me ask you this. A top 5 list, do you think is generally more based on somebody's emotional connection to the artists, or is there an actual science behind it? Are people generally biased because they just grew up on some of these artists, or, you know, are they objective in their top 5 placements? What do you think?
I think it's a combination depending on who you're talking to, you know, because people that are really into the culture can give a objective point of view, you know, from it. But most people, it is more emotional. And as you said earlier, there can never really be a definitive who is the greatest of all time and who is the
For sure.
Because that's always going to be subjective.
Why do you think this question, who's the top 5 or who's the greatest of all time, why do you think after all these years of asking the same question, why does it still spark such heated debates?
Because it is emotional, you know what I'm saying? because we feel strongly, and because rap music particularly has always been this competitive thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like the whole alpha male in all of us, it comes out. So whoever we're passionate about, you know, we're going to have all of all the reasons why we think that person should be number 1 or number 3 or whatever the case is. It's just like, I remember I was on a show, and when I said wise intelligent, people was like, wise intelligent? You know what I'm saying? Because they don't understand that. For me, I don't really care how many records you're selling at all. That's like, that's hip hop should never be judged on record sales to me, because that's just not what it takes. A dope MC is a dope MC, with or without a record deal. All kids,
right.
As I quote the teacher.
Exactly. There you go. So, and that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually something I wanted to discuss. Right, when we're thinking about what makes a greatest of all time MC, right? Is it based on flow? Is it based on lyrics, voice, fame, sales? Because I see, especially when you're talking about, and I don't want to generalize, younger hip hop heads, but I have seen with younger audiences more of a focus on sales, even views, like, well, this person has, 20 million YouTube views, right? So that seems to be, much more of a factor in trying to determine who's a top MC. And obviously we didn't have that to go on when we were coming up, because there was no such thing as social media or even the internet for that matter. So we couldn't look at any of that.
Is that crazy?
That's crazy.
No internet, like what?
We just aged ourselves, like just by saying that, right? Like what? They came up at a time when there was no internet. Yep,
listen,
sure
man,
did.
It's funny because, as you said, the criteria changes depending on, not only what the technology it is, but just the level of appreciation from just music. You know what I'm saying? Because, one thing that I think Kendrick is appealing, because Kendrick, lyrically and things of that nature, but just the different styles and things of that nature. So, it's a great conversation to always have. And as long as rap music will be around, it's going to go on forever and ever. But I do think that there's certain things that when you talk about of all time, Biggie is not even in that conversation of all time, because to me, he doesn't have enough product.
Now that's interesting you're saying that, because so many people do put Biggie on their top 5 list.
You know why? Because most people, they really got into the music when the entertainment industry made it accessible to everybody. You know what I'm saying? But for those of us that have already been into the culture, there's a different criteria coming from the culture than coming from people that view it from the entertainment side. Not that one is right and one is wrong, but it's most certainly a different criteria. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think the criteria, do you think a lot of it now has been kind of dictated by media outlets as to what the criteria is?
Most certainly, no doubt. I mean,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once the major outlets like MTV and these other people started, and we know, make no mistake, that's corporate. You know what I'm saying? It's not people just doing whatever they want to do. That's not even factoring in what the culture thinks. That's factoring in these people that are on these major labels that are giving this major push. So it's almost like cross-promotion type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're popular enough, skills don't even matter, because, again, sales mean a lot to the corporation. Unlike the culture, sales don't really mean that much to us. We're always happy, but, groups like Tribe Called Quest and Brand Nubian, they never sold a bunch of records at all. And yet they are in our pantheon of, some of the greatest, you know what I'm saying? So, there's a whole different criteria. Most certainly the radio station, and we have to look back to the mid-90s. Rap radio has only been around about 20 years. So if you look at, the criteria and the product for the last 20 years, you see an overwhelming influence of corporate America in rap music and in hip-hop culture in general. And again, I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but you have to acknowledge what it is. So if we're coming from the cultural perspective, then our point of view, we believe, has a higher level of accountability than people that are just trying to sell records.
Of course.
Because they don't really care whether it's art, They don't care how it's affecting the culture positively or negatively. They simply care about record sales. And again, not that that's wrong, because that's what they do.
Now, I know you remember this. Again, this is gonna pretty much tell our age, right? But years ago, Kumo D put out a report card, right, where he was grading MCs. You remember that?
I do.
And I don't remember. I think it was like maybe 10 different categories, right? Like voice and delivery and content,
stage presence, all that.
Stage presence, right?
It was a great list. It was a great
list. It was a great list. I think he put himself number 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is
crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Melly Mel was number 1, and I think he. Right, and I think he put himself as number 2. So, but what do you think of a report card like that today?
No, I think that's needed, because then at least you can have it, where it could be as level as possible. It's just like when I used to write for one of the magazines as a music editor, we would look. So the way that we got our ratings for the album is by going song from song and rating each song from 1 to 5, and then doing an average. You know what I'm saying? So you may have some songs that are 5, but you may have a couple of songs that's 2.5. It's going to bring your average down. I think it should be the same thing about when you're judging the greatest of all time MCs, because you got some MCs that, their live performance has always been just okay at best. Rakim, who I love, and his live performances are better now than they were. I tell you that much. I'm glad.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I've seen Rakim perform in the '80s, and I was mad disappointed, because it's the God. You know what I mean? And you want to see the God shine, and then here you see Rakim on stage, and it's like, oh, okay.
Right. So having a checklist or a report card would be dope. Like even for the newer artists, because then you could judge them on the level that they are as peers, and not try to judge them against the Rakims and the Jay-Z's or the Chuck D's or the Carey. You have to judge against that. You can judge them against their peers based on whatever's on that criteria list. I think that would be dope.
So you'd be able to use this modern, this 2017 report card to evaluate a Lil Yachty, for example, or the Migos, for example.
Yeah, you would. Well, now see, it's like with Migos, see, to me, it's like a couple of things that kind of messed the game up now, in my opinion. One is that auto-tune, man, it just it makes everybody just sound too much of the same. And that's one of the things that I love most about the MCs that I name. It's like, not only do they run their own lane, but they create lanes within their lanes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, nowadays, I don't think a lot of artists that are rappers actually see themselves as artists. I think they see themselves as recording stars, and
a lot of them will tell you that.
Oh yeah, exactly. Which is why I'm never mad at them. It's like Migos say that they're not rappers, they rock stars. I'm like, cool. Now, if we get other people who stop equating them with hip hop, we'd be all right. You know what I'm saying?
I think Lil Uzi Vert last year at some point he was interviewed by Ebro, and he said he was a rock star. And I don't listen to Lil Uzi Vert, but I thought to myself, you know what? That's okay. If you see yourself as a rock star, which that's not up to me to decide. But if you see yourself as a rock star and you don't have this aggressive stance on like, I'm an MC, this is what I do, then I don't have as much of a problem with you. Because if you were like really going hard on being an MC and being lyrical, et cetera, I would be like, come on now. That's
and see that's what I love about Yachty. It's like, what I'm saying, and now because Yachty's from Atlanta and I've known his father, for years and whatnot.
Oh, word, okay.
What I tell people is that, especially, my peers, which is that 40 to 60 hip hop generation, we sound kind of hypocritical when we say rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live, and all we want to judge artists on is rap music. That's unfair and it's hypocritical, because while nobody would say Yachty is one of the best rappers out, you can't say that kid is not hip hop. You can't say just the way that he's approaching, just the way he bum rushed the industry himself is not straight hip hop. I mean, unless you don't understand the mindset of what we call hip hop from the culture side. Again, most people only look at hip hop through the lens of rap music.
Right. Well, that's you bring up a great point, because when we're talking about, the greatest MC of all time, the key word being MC. So what you're saying is that we got to look beyond just the element of an MC and look at all of the other hip hop aesthetics, right?
Well, no. See, if we're talking about MCing, then okay, Uzi wouldn't even, Uzi Vert and they wouldn't even been in that conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I'm talking about the people that try to say that they're not hip hop.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's mumble rap. Well, mumble rap is just another genre of music in hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, because again, we have to decide, and when I say we, I mean those of us that have been a part of the culture and have shaped the culture and are committed to the culture. We cannot judge anybody on just rap music if we say that we're about the culture. We have to find out, how are they contributing to the culture? Are they, or is it something that, like down here, we went through a period of time in Atlanta where you had a lot of, before trap music got, really popular as it is, you had a lot of trap and D-boy rappers that would tell you straight up, I'm not into all that hip-hop. I'm trying to do this rap stuff to get this money, and that's it. Okay, fine. Now, for those that feel like that, fine, but for people that want to be a part of this culture, there are mores and values and rules in this culture. You see what I'm saying? That if you only are doing the entertainment industry, it means nothing to you. But if you want to be a part of the culture, then you have to learn the culture. You know what I'm saying? And it goes beyond rap music.
And what do you say before we go to break? What do you say to cats who are not interested in learning about the culture? They just say, I'm just trying to get this money. I don't care about the culture. What do you say to them?
Then again, when the industry has used them up and kicked them to the curb, don't expect to be able to come to the culture and get any love or respect, because because it's like any other culture. You know what I'm saying? If you don't care about us, why would we even spend time and energy caring about you?
Basically, you're saying don't come back knocking at the door trying to get back in the house.
Well, I mean, because that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Once you, and that's the thing that, a lot of these young guys, they don't understand how deep and wide the culture is. They have no idea. Course. You see what I'm saying? So they end up playing themselves on their own, youth and their own ignorance.
All right, we're gonna take a break. I love this conversation, by the way, man. This is great. Take No Prisoners Radio. We will be right back. Stay tuned.
Maybe you would prefer to pay God with your funk-age blood.
Look up in the sky and thank God that we on. And we ain't die against all odds, I'll be around for eons. Adversity never bothered me none. When that 30 unload on rappers, I ain't seen none. But surely I know what's happening, like Raj and Rerun. While we respect the codes, me myself I can turn the other cheek, but never bring myself to re-respect the soul. I got that young man flow, that old man glow. Grew up so damn poor, with plenty problems. Lot of drama, beef poppin', no Benny Hanna. I wasn't Conan or Rambo. I was just honorary, going no mama, no ma'am, no allowance or Christmas gifts. No mistletoes, up under that little blanket. Nicknaming that handkerchief Mr. Hanky, wiping off that pistol grip. Rightfully my nickname is with this ish. Like sewers under them broke lampposts. Going no your honor, I sure can't go. Ziggin don't believe that I'm from OP. That's cold in the whole damn mo. What you know about having beef with Ziggin from your street? At war with Ziggin living 8 doors up. It all adds up, knocking the 4-4 Lambos. Whoa, Dad, I'm sorry, I had to take your stuff. Speeding off in that Ferrari or Wraith truck. License plate say respect, all praise or bust. No regrets, just all faith in God's grace, no trust. All day, my policy is where the problem, point them out. Off what y'all say, talks cheap, and of course, all fades is on the house. Either you with us or you in the lost way. I came to march, I make bras faint. I don't make art for the faint of hearts. Rockstar, as far as hip hop, I just do my part. Over my father's head in the hospital bed in rehab. Only time that I stared at a pop chart, trying not to relapse. Let's face off on the track like Emmett Till. I'm taking over like God put me in his will. I'm a friend of Bill's.
Word. So we're speaking with Minister Server, and during the music break, you made a good point. You were talking about the 9 elements of hip hop, right? And again, you were bringing up Lil Yachty, so I want the listeners to hear the point that you were making, 'cause it's pretty interesting.
Right. Okay. So for those of us that are part of hip hop culture, and what I use the term is self-identify, because only you can determine whether you're part of any culture. It's not for me or anybody outside to say, well, he's hip hop and he's not. But if you say that you are a part of the culture, then through the temple of hip hop, we express hip hop not only through the elements that people know, breaking, MCing, graffiti, DJing, but we expand that to fashion, beatbox, language, knowledge, entrepreneurialism, health and wellness. So I was talking about, it sounds hypocritical for us to say rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live, and all we judge people on is their rap music. So I was giving an example. If you look at all 10 elements and you say a rapper has all 9 checked off, but they're just a whack rapper. You know what I'm saying? They're just a whack rapper. You just don't like their rap music. But the other elements, especially street entrepreneurialism, the way that these young cats are, taking care of business and, branding and doing different things, they most certainly got that down. Fashion, they got that down. Street language, which is the whole mumble rap thing. You know what I'm saying? Street language. So there's so many other elements that we have to decide whether we only want to judge these young people, particularly, only on their rap music. And I just think that is unfair. For those that are part of the culture, we have to let expression be expression. I'm not mad that young people are making rap music that my peers don't like. That's kind of good. That's how hip-hop should be, because it is a different mindset.
That's cool that you're saying that, because you're kind of breaking down the stereotype of what us old, grumpy hip-hop heads are generally thought to be, right? We hate everybody who's young, we hate everybody who's new, and we don't give them a chance at all. You're kind of breaking that down because you're not 20 years old, Mr. Server, right?
Listen, I am 53 years of age. I'm a hip-hop grandpop for real, and take pride in being 53 years of age. And I tell young dudes, I pray that you make it to be 53 years of age and could be as fly as me as a hip-hop grandpop, son. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping you get there, Don. I really am, but you know what I'm saying? If you don't understand the culture and you don't check into the culture, then you might not have those safeguards that are going to carry you after the entertainment industry kicks you to the curb, which they kick everyone to the curb, no matter what the genre. When they can't eat off you no more, they find some fresh meat to eat off.
For sure. That happens
and you don't have
year
to
in,
be
year out.
afraid of that, because if you come from a culture that's going to support you no matter what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So like when I'm talking to people, through Conscious Consulting Group, it's about you as a person. As I tell, like when I met KRS-One, he didn't need me to help him be a better rapper. He was 17 years as being a hip-hop icon. You know what I'm saying? But we were dealing with real life and his real passion and movement, which is the temple of hip-hop. So my thing is always about you being the best you. Whatever your occupation is, that may change as often as the next trend. But who you are is the most important thing to hip-hop. So, one of the things that I love about the concept of the temple of hip-hop, we're a hip-hop preservation society. And the way that we preserve hip-hop is by preserving the hip-hopper, not the elements. The elements have been around forever and they're going to be around. But if I don't protect Seb, who is hip-hop, that's how hip-hop dies. It ain't about the elements. They're going to be here. We got to protect each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's a mindset that we don't really hear enough, and we don't hear it loud enough. And, that's the work that we're doing from the other side. And as I tell people, that's not the sexy and glamorous side, but that's the side that my grandchildren will be able to thrive and live off and travel the world because of the work that I'm doing now. I believe that in my heart of hearts. And we have to stop just making it about rap music, because the entertainment industry, has made it about rap music. So for those of us that know better, particularly at 40 to 60, because, how are we going to let the entertainment industry use rap music to make us go to war against our youth? And we created rap music. The entertainment industry didn't create rap music. We created rap music. So, leave our youth alone. Yachty and all them, let them do what they do. Maybe, they will grow out of that and actually learn to enunciate and use their articulators and articulate properly. And then, then there'll be some other kind of rap that, Uzi and them will hate when they're older. They'll be calling, they'll be calling something else garbage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because that's just the way it goes, man. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think of like those lists, like the double XL, list of the, the next up MCs or MTVs? I don't do they still do that on MTV
I
every
can't
year?
tell you the last time I even watched MTV, Sam, to be completely honest with
yeah,
you.
me neither. I don't really know, but
MTV.
I know Sway was doing it right. Like every year they had a panel of experts in the industry.
Cool, man, because what ends up happening is it gets the dialogue going. And it gets people that may not know about it. Now, the only thing that I don't like is that they are so heavily influenced on quote unquote major artists. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody like a Cyrock or a Methuselah, or even somebody like a David Banner, who has David Banner, I'm not sure whether you heard the God Box.
Yeah, I have.
David Banner has some heat out right now that, if they start to enter those conversations, make it more equitable, then to me, that'll be dope. But, the corporation is going to sell the products of the corporation. And for those of us that are old enough, that's another thing, that we have to be the ones that kind of connect the dots for the generations behind us. We can't expect them to know what we have not taught them. And while they think it's the music business, it's really the business music. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be clear on that. Unlike the culture, the music is the most important thing. The people in the culture are, bigger than the entertainment industry, which is why, I tell young people, we start our history in 1973 as a culture. The first rap record doesn't come out to 79. So you talk about 6 years of us developing who we wanted to be, and because we didn't really understand it to the depth that we did now, we obviously got way more entangled in the entertainment industry than we even knew. But we have to beat ourselves up about that. Now we can say, okay, because a lot of us, whether we have children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews or brothers and sisters, we should be able to see, which is why I talk to that 40 to 60 group more than anything else. Like, you don't necessarily have to be into the culture the way I am, but for you not to see the natural connection that whether you like it or not, the youth behind you can't get enough of what they believe hip-hop is, good, bad, or ugly. They can't get enough of it. Mm-hmm. So if we add on and give them something that's beyond, just rap music, and stop criticizing them and making them feel like they're not, a Jay-Z or they're not, a Nas or whatever, because they're not. But it was the same thing when Run DMC and them came out, and people was like, well, they're not Cold Crush, or they're not Fierce Five. It's the same thing. And
yeah, because I know Melly Mel and them did not like Run DMC at all.
Or KRS, which the whole battle with Melly Mel and KRS at Latin Quarter, that famous battle. So it's always going to be like that. Now, I just say, if they got the skills to battle, then that's cool. But a lot of these dudes, which is why they're not trying to even get into that conversation. A lot of times now, it's just about them making money. They're young, and when you're young, you are going to be silly and materialistic and, all that type of stuff. So it's more about those of us that love the culture, that believe in the culture, to nurture the culture and develop it and preserve it. That's nobody else's responsibility, but for those of us that are self-identified being a part of hip-hop culture. I just don't think that that's something that you should put on just rappers.
I got a question for you, and I know we're seem to be exclusively focusing on rappers. Obviously, that's the topic of the show. Right. But can an MC be the GOAT forever, or can they lose their position as the GOAT? Can somebody be a GOAT for 5 years or 6 years, and then when there's a new wave, a new trend in hip hop, can that GOAT status just be swept from under their feet?
You know what? That's a dope question. I never thought about it like that, because I guess, yeah, I would say yeah, because again, the way that I would have to judge the greatest of all time is that the impact that they had. So that impact can't ever necessarily be taken away, but it can be lessened depending on if somebody come and shine brighter. You know what I'm saying? It's like Tupac wouldn't be in my top 5 as far as rappers, but as far as influential, I don't know that there's another rapper that's more influential than Tupac. You know what I'm saying? So it's like different lanes on how you talk about it, but it's like somebody talking about Ali. They're going to talk about Ali, being the greatest of all time, no matter who does what. So, that's one of those kind of conversations that's, as long as people know that your opinion is your opinion and it's a great conversation. And, if you, like we talk about, if you only have seen rappers nowadays only do shows and audiences is doing the lyrics and there's no real wordplay and all that kind of stuff, then for us it's like, that sounds good, but that's like pop music. That's not really hip hop, because to be an MC from our point of view, the wordplay, the metaphors, the similes, the whole different styles, you know what I'm saying? Which is why I tell people, that's why KRS-One will always be the greatest to me. If you listen to Boogie Down Productions, like first 5, 6 albums, Chris drops about 3 different styles on every album. This cat got so many different styles that he don't even use no more. You know what I'm saying? So,
true.
Try to experiment with styles. So that's a whole part of it as well. And, for those of us, that are MCs as well, then, there's a passion that we have about just hearing a dope MC. Like I was talking to you earlier about the sister 3D Nati.
Right.
Oh man, just hearing her recently is like, this sister spits fire. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, like, Rhapsody, so many sisters that are spitting fire. But the mainstream obviously is still not really looking for talented women MCs. They still want to go with, different type of images and things of that nature, which is why, even the way that Remy Ma had to kind of come back in the game, kind of like, the bully type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But it's some dope MCs out here. And what I talk to my peers about is that if you're only listening to what you're hearing in the mainstream, then maybe you're just not hip hop, because hip hop knows that it's always comes to us before you even get to the mainstream. So if you're too old and corny and you only tune into the mainstream, maybe you fell off from hip hop. Maybe it's not that hip hop's dead. Maybe you dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Believe me, I make that point all the time, especially cats that are, in our age range, crying about the state of hip hop. It's like, no, you tuned out of hip hop.
Yeah, man. And then it's just like, even if you talk about just the basic level of rap music, man, there's some dope rap music out there. If you're between the age of 40 and 60, you will most certainly enjoy, what I like to call now adult contemporary hip hop music.
For sure.
What I'm saying? Because Jay-Z is the one that made okay. To me, Nas, when he dropped that Life is Good album, that's when the first was like, okay, now we're getting some adult contemporary hip hop music. And that's needed. And, let the youngins do what they do. And like I said, my thing is about them in real life. Hopefully they can survive the traps that the industry and that the society has set up for them. And it's unfortunate they don't have people around them that care about them enough, that are letting them see these images that you're putting out while you may be trying to get that bag right now. They got them handcuffs waiting for you outside the studio. And you would think that you would know that from Bobby Shmurda and other folks that have let their rap lives in their real life kind of spill over. And because there are no secrets anywhere anymore, you're not hiding anything from anybody anymore, then, it's the time for us to be real and stand for our youth, even as they, doing dumb stuff like our elders stood for us when we were doing dumb stuff.
All right, last question before we wrap up. We got about 30 seconds. Right. Who do you think today, out of popular MCs today, who do you think is the next up for greatest of all time MCs?
Wow, that's a good one.
We always think of the same names, right? Kendrick, J. Cole, blah, blah.
I mean, because those are people that are putting in real work, you know what I'm saying? And yet, when I look at, somebody like Joey Badass, what I appreciated most about Joey is that he stepped up and said, listen, I am a black hip-hop leader, and this is my soundtrack. For him to do that in his 20s, I'm mad impressed by that. So, I would, if I had to call somebody right now that I'm putting my money on, Joey Badass. Word.
Joey Badass, who we've played on Take No Prisoners Radio many times. So we're going to take a quick break. Take No Prisoners. We'll be right back.
front my favorite part.
Young chicks developing hips, innocence is lost. County building overly crowded, we pay the cost. In the back of the alleys, fiends barter for powder. Money, power, respect, self-proclaimed bosses. Buck pads and blunt raps, the first of the month. Gotta put paper, it ain't to make something. See you fake it till you make it, living in the land of the stars. Side hustles and work, supplementing your job. Apply for G.O.A.T, we living beyond our means. Nail shops is full, stomach stay on E. Can you find us a lead or maneuver like sheep? Freedom ain't free, forgetting that the me shall inherit the earth with no college degree. Guess it's back to the curb, backpacking the heat. The repass is cracking, a homie R.I.P. D's on that regal, get a royalty. We all rise, all fall for the same things. We all live, all die for the same things. See, I be doing my best just to maintain. See, I be doing my best just to make way. We all rise, all fall for the same thing. Ayo, I spit 500 on the booming system, just to make sure they all know when I pull up. Red bottom screen money treated as targets. Bootleg black market, we gon' get it regardless. For the low, parallels are being crabs in the barrel. Fair weather friends and my foes wish them farewell. It was serpents lurking in the grass, I couldn't see them. Bible or the Torah needed something to believe in. When I was 6, knew a boy molested by the preacher man. We lacking balance, long money, short attention spans. I'm just trying to execute my plans before I kick the can. Hoping marriage in my future. 40 years approaching fast. Forgot to drive slow when I'm track a few times. Thank God for a hard flow and an impeccable grind. Wear a lot of caps, hustler, I fit that bill. All my people dealing with life's ills for real. But y'all rather watch the clock tick. But I ain't wasting on a minute. Yeah, I got 3 eyelids. Yeah, the whole system is divisive. Look at your mobile devices. The patriotic sirens, they be slaughterhousing all our profits just to generate a profit. Ooh, they got them scopes out. Wonder why they always talk morbid. Poverty stricken, leaving victims, widows, and orphans. Forget the Forbes list, we worth a fortune. That's why I hit it with the ism. I'm dark tinted, but thank God my heart isn't. Left and right wing, same team, all politicking. They be acting like some nah, I don't feel them. So we stay high, man, rest in peace, Miss Phyllis. Granny raising mama children, we product of the village. Crossing borders with our families, hidden in the pickups. Barter system, learn the game, then always pay for it. Ghetto rituals, we blessing the bottle before we sip it. Black lips, nose styles like an African pinner. My people stand back straight from the center with their chin up. One God, one code. Let us stay sticking to the land of milk and honey. I'm knowing the day come, liberation is gangster. We all rise, all fall for the same things. We all ride, all die for the same things. We all feel for the same things. See, I be doing my best just to maintain. We all rise, all fall for the same things. We all kill.
Yeah, Mantra, Code of the Guru, Magno, come on, yeah, don't care how long it said it took. Back with that comedic look, long way from a low down pathetic crook. Used to think that my destiny awful. Meditations make the earth energy sparkle. Rider for righteousness, killer if it's lawful. 10 mansions in the mind of the king is colossal. Rap to influence the youth, what I do is the truth. The studio is just a ghetto confessional booth. In the world is the road priest of the government, let's go to war, no peace. They leave us dead under the bridge, coat cheese. New slaves, same rules, old leash. I'm a rebel, the warrior, the runaway. Started reading books, they started screaming, put the gun away. Say the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Sacrifices bars and memory of the grace, it's the guru.
I see the signs to a great mind. The heaviest change cannot rhyme.
Wisdom. Bring it back. Bring it back to the streets.
Code of the Guru.
I see the signs to a great mind. The heaviest change cannot rhyme.
Many lose their sanity, caught up in the vanity. No longer can they separate the real from the fantasy. DJ Red Alert, it's a hip hop calamity. A Waragani rap tsunami swallow humanity. Rap Nazareth gave breath to Lazarus. Third eye shine like jewelry and it's hazardous. 7 in the fortress, navigate the forces. Sons of cool hurt, still carrying the torches. One destiny, but we travel in different courses. Stole the culture, contaminated the sources. Say I look at history, I never worship the mystery God. Still deeply embedded with all the Zulu genetics. There's only few who can set it, the voice is truly kinetic. One voice sound in the air can light up the atlas. Rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes, consider it practice. It's the guru.
I see the signs to a great mind. The heaviest chain cannot rhyme.
Bring it back. Bring it back to the streets.
It's the guru.
I see the signs to a great mind. The heaviest chain cannot rhyme.
This is Take No Prisoners Radio on the Wire, 98.5 FM, streaming on the Wire985.com or on the 98.5 The Wire app. Minister Server, we want to thank you for joining us today to talk about what makes a GOAT MC. And if people want to reach out to you, man, where can they find you?
Man, you can find me on Facebook for the Old Head News Network. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, everything, Minister Server. Yeah, man, just definitely reach out because, again, for those that are listening that are finding that are self-identified as being part of the culture, man, we're here for each other. And I'm truly here to serve in any way that I can, give any advice and guidance that can help us grow as a culture. I'm most certainly here to do that. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yes,
Sam,
sir.
A great conversation. You know what I'm saying? Looking forward to some of these young artists. I would like to hear some of their top 5. You said who they think the greatest all time. I would like to ask somebody like Yachty and Uzi them. Like that would be an interesting conversation. But
well, hopefully they can hit you up.
Yeah.
And then you come back on Take No Prisoners Radio and you tell us what they said.
Word, man. But yeah, man, appreciate you having me on there, man. And y'all keep up the great work, man. Y'all doing a very important work. I said you, particularly with the students, man. Big up to all y'all. We hold all y'all in light and love and want to just keep growing, bro.
I appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciate it. And if you want to hit me up, you can find me on Twitter at Seb is Hip Hop. That's Seb is Hip Hop. On Instagram at TNP Radio. That's TNP Radio. You can call us at 407-504-1061. That's 407-504-1061. I never shout out my website, but you can hit up the website, sebishiphop.com. That's sebishiphop.com. This is Take No Prisoners Radio. And as always,
we declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.